Alright, much Abrew about nothing. Playing some Nahiri's End in Modern. We'll play first, and... I mean, no Nahiri, but this is a pretty reasonable hand. Have Cyclers and a Fast Living End, which should be pretty good. Blackcleave Cliffs, and opponent passes. Ooh, this might be Living End as well. Blackcleave Cliffs pass feels a little bit like Living End. So let's get red, green, black, red, red. Let's just get a Stomping Grounds. Untapped. And cycle number 1. Bloodstained Mire. And let's see. Let's just pass. See what our opponent does. Twilight Mire. Oh, this is probably Jund. Ooze. Alright, so we're gonna double cycle into Living End here. So crack Bloodstained Mire. Get an Overgrown Tomb. Untapped. Cycle this for a mountain. Get Sacred Foundry. Exile Spirit Guide. Cycle Deadshot Minotaur. Ooh. Well, cycle Street Wraith. Then we'll just Sacred Foundry, Untapped, and Demonic Dread. And this hopefully will be enough to win the game. Cascade into Living End, cast the Living End. Get back everything. We get to get in for 5 right away with our hasty Pouncer. And pass the turn. And we also have the right mana if we draw a Nahiri or a Siege Rhino. We can cast them, so that's cool. Helpful. And our opponent scoops it up. Interesting. So I don't know if this is a good or bad matchup. I don't know if we really want to change anything. They're going to bring in Discard, maybe Graveyard Hate. But we have our Siege Rhinos and Nahiris. Life Gain doesn't seem great. Void doesn't seem great. Ricochet Trap doesn't seem great. Slaughter Games, Chewer. Shriekmaw, I guess, is an option, but we already have 2. Let's just run it back. And pressure Living End will be good enough. No Cyclers, a million Beast Withins, and Fulminator Mages. So in theory, we can turn 1 Fulminator Mage. I think we gotta ship this. This just isn't... Aye. Okay. Spirit Guide. Maybe we keep the Spirit Guide just because it can get a Fast Nahiri down, which is probably pretty good in this matchup. So let's cycle Street Wraith right away. Get a Simian Spirit Guide. And then Verdant Catacombs, go. Opponent cracks Bloodstained Mire. Stomping Ground, tapped. Scavenging Ooze for our opponent. Well, let's crack Catacombs. Get a Stomping Ground. Tapped. Okay. Godless Shrine, tapped. Pass the turn. So we're just going to let our opponent eat our Street Wraith, and then hopefully untap Nahiri, kill Scavenging Ooze, and then be back on our plan. We only lose a single creature. So it's not the end of the world. That's assuming our opponent even wants to get our Street Wraith instead of playing a Liliana or something. Fulminator Mage. Fulminator Mage does slow us down. That means no Nahiri this turn. Never mind. Overgrown Tomb, untapped. Exile Spirit Guide, play Nahiri. And then just Nahiri, get rid of the ooze. Pass the turn. Hopefully they don't just kill our Nahiri. Because then we're pretty far behind again. Being down that land, we need 2 lands to get to Nahiri. Goyf. And there's the bolt. Okay. Now we're staring down a 4/5 Goyf, and we don't have any Nahiri. Well, let's cycle Street Wraith. Land? So see, this is where things about the Nahiri Siege Rhino plan are not good. Now we can't Living End. And we can't cast Nahiris as Siege Rhinos because they're expensive, and we're down to 7. Kalidas, alright, we need to draw a land this turn. Yeah, that does it. Well, maybe going all in on Nahiri was a bad plan. Which maybe means Nahiri isn't ideal in this deck. Alright, let's run it back. Seems like this should be a good matchup. Alright, we'll play first. And 1 land, Cycler, Emrakul. Violent Outburst, double Beast Within. Yeah, I guess we mulligan that. Oy. Alright. I think we gotta put that to the bottom. We need to find lands. We're gonna get beaten up by discard, unfortunately. Blackleaf Cliffs. And Inquisition. I'm assuming they take Violent Outburst? I would think? Yep, takes Violent Outburst. Alright. So let's Bloodstain Mire, pass the turn. Drawing a land there was pretty solid. Cracks Catacombs. Gets a forest and ooze. Well, let's crack Wooded Foothills. Get a white. Yeah, get a Temple Garden tapped. Crack Bloodstain Mire. Get a Stomping Grounds tapped. Untap. Copperline Gorge. And then let's just Fulminator Mage. And blow up our opponent's land. Pass the turn. Bloodstain Mire for our opponent. Passes. Ooh. And eats our Fulminator Mage. Spirit Guide. Let's Blood Crypt tapped and just pass the turn. And Beast Within something. Question is, do we go after a land or do we just have to kill this ooze? Cracks our Bloodstain Mire. Gets a Blood Crypt. Ooh. I'm tempted to stay after their lands. But ooze is pretty troubling. Problem is, if we don't hit their lands, they could, like, untap. They could Thoughtseize for 1. But they could have done that last turn. But they could untap in, like, Liliana, which makes our Siege Rhino much worse. But Scavenging Ooze keeps us from ever reanimating. Alright, let's hit the land. Hopefully we draw into a Nahiri or something eventually. It's also possible we just mana screw our opponent, and they can't do anything. And then our Siege Rhino is very good. They are going to attack with Ooze, which means Nahiri is live as a removal spell. Do they have a land? They do. Overgrown Tomb, untapped. And Dark Confidant. Well, let's Siege Rhino. White, green, black, and whatever. Puts our opponent to 14, puts us to 18, and gives us a good blocker. Our opponent's going to get to start drawing. Hopefully they don't draw into removal. They want to hit lands, I'm sure. And they do. Stomping Ground. Good hit off of Dark Confidant. Stomping Ground, untapped, down to 12. And Fulminator Mage. Hits our Blood Crypt. Can't really attack, though. What do we draw? A Forest. Is it even worth attacking here? They trade... We're trading Siege Rhino for, like, Scavenging Ooze? That doesn't seem that good. Well, let's... Cycle Deadshot Minotaur. Actually, do we even want to do that? If we hit a Nahiri, that's awesome. Lots of other stuff isn't awesome. And it feeds the Ooze. I guess there's other decent stuff we could hit, like Beast Within and so forth. But feeding the Ooze feels bad. Alright, let's try it. Not great. Alright, Bloodstained Mire, go. Dark Confidant. Oh my goodness, another land. Opponent is hitting what they want with Dark Confidant. Probably drawing spells in between. Going to attack with Dark Confidant? We'll take it. Down to 16. Swamp for our opponent. Goyf. Alright, let's crack Bloodstained Mire. Get a Swamp. Alright, pass the turn. Well, I guess we can cast Simian Spirit Guide. We don't really need the mana at this point. We're drawing so many lands. And no Cascade spells. Eats our Minotaur, goes up to 12. Eats Fulminator Mage. So Ooze is getting big. Takes 1 for a Thoughtseize from the Bob. Plays Raging Ravine. Nile Spellbomb. That's pretty good against our Living Ends. Thoughtseize reveals a basic land. Goes to attacks. Swings with Dark Confidant. Alright, let's kill it. We can't lose our Siege Rhino. Well, there's Demonic Dread. So if we Demonic Dread, we get rid of our opponent's board. But we get nothing back. And our opponent gets back Dark Confidant, and they have the ability to activate Raging Ravine. Not sure that's worth it. Yeah, let's wait another turn. Exile Spirit Guide. Maybe we at least get our opponent. They do not exile Dark Confidant. I guess they want to pump up the Goyf. Oh, they have a second Thoughtseize. I guess that's the risk of holding it. And then Maelstrom Pulse. Well, we're going to have to draw something good right now. And Nahiri is not it. Siege Rhino is also not it. Exile Siege Rhino. And even like a Living End, we're still dead, because they have Raging Ravine. So we're dead no matter what. Alright.